So for baking a good bread, what matters most is the temperature of the accommodation where you are going to like process and proof your dough. And ideally 70 to 77 degree Fahrenheit temperature is very perfect for raising the dough. You can like preheat your oven up to the desired degree and you can put it inside for the fast proofing, but the natural texture will be absent. And the other thing is that no bread is perfect. Even the best bread baker can never be like bake a perfect dough. It's all that you have to decide on the imperfections, that are you going to serve that bread to the another person or not. And bread baking is a skill which is never perfect, but you keep on improving with the time. So let's come to the point now. The ingredients for the bread baking is we need 6 cups of I take both all purpose and whole wheat, half when I'm cooking for like regular, because pita is our staple bread. So when some guest is coming, I try to decrease the whole wheat part because I want some fancy texture of my bread. So for sure all purpose is always much fancy. It's white but it's not right. So the other thing is you need sugar, and then you need yeast, 2 teaspoon of yeast, a lukewarm milk, and it should be like around 170 degree warm. Okay. And you need salt. I use kosher salt. You may use regular salt. But this is my observation: when you use kosher salt, especially in vegetables, the process of soaking of salt in the vegetables is it's a very different than the regular salt. So we need olive oil, around half cup. So then what we'll do first, we will put sugar and 2 teaspoon of yeast, and we will mix it. Okay, and then we will put some half cup of flour, which I took out of that whole mixed flour only, and we'll blend it well. This is the sponge, and this is the entire game changer in any bread. When I started baking, I used to think, well, how does it make it's not any big difference if I put like only sugar, yeast and milk, and I'll rise it and it'll do. Where is the difference? But no, when a sponge is really, really, really important thing, how you grow the sponge. So we'll let it settle for 15 minutes and it'll rise around the double of the size, and then we'll continue the process. So after 15 minutes this sponge is ready. I forget to mention the quantity of the milk in the sponge, which is around more than a half cup, but it's 2/3 of a cup, and we need some water too. So now we will put this sponge. I have in dough, I have added the olive oil and kosher salt already. So I have kept some oil aside for the later. So I'll put the sponge in and I'll add some water to it. And then you can like check the consistency always, because all flours doesn't need the same and doesn't take the same amount of the water. It depends on the quality of your grain, and even in different seasons, uh, the water in the dough will be different. So I'll mix it and then I'll put it on the mixer. So I've shifted my bowl to the dough mixer, and I'll put the paddle attachment for it, and we'll start melding. We need to decide, some amount of water we need extra. So ideally it takes, like in 6 cups it takes 400 ml exactly. And the most important thing is never speed up your blender. It should be at the minimum speed. Like in my blender, it is like 2 is the like start is the minimum, and then it's 2. I'll keep it to the start, and we'll let the dough take its time. So the dough is done. As you can see, it is not sticking to the sides of the dough. It takes around 8 minutes in winter, and in the peak of summer, like you just divide the time by 2. And like this is what we need to do. You can see the gluten, the perfect gluten. So we will remove the paddle. We will take the dough to the counter. We will put the leftover oil. So olive oil is a very, like, it makes the bread healthy. That's the dough, and then we cover the dough with the cellophane sheet, and I'll keep it side like for 2 hours in some winters around. And it like avoid overproofing. Like in this, my mixer is 6 quarts. So and then this is 6 cup of flour, and I always prefer like this much yeasting. So over yeasting or overproofing will ruin the taste, texture, and fragrance of it strikes very imbalanced fragrance. So avoid that. So we'll cover it and we'll keep it aside for 2 hours approximately. So here is the dough. It is proofed. See, there is enough there, and the top layer is very glossy, and there is no bubble, there is no hole. It's perfect. So this much dough is usually good for 30 to 35 pitas. And we should make sure that all the bubbles should be out, but because in that case you will be killing the yeast, and the proofing. This dough is ready. You can see the surface is clean, no bubbles. And then we have to start taking the roll. That usually a 60 gram is good enough for 1 pita, because generally it's not very big in the size. So we roll it well, and you take another one, and you have to make 30 to 35 out of this stuff. We'll make this size of loaves. We'll spread some dry flour, and we'll we'll start rolling this in a thin layer. Shred the extra dough and we'll put it on the oven. The oven is already set, preheated to 425 degree. So we will load both the trays in. We'll let it settle. Usually it takes like 7 to 8 minutes to do it. In case of you are not going to serve it immediately. If you are preparing it to serve immediately, then I'll suggest 10 minutes, because then generally we eat pita with hummus, tzatziki and all those kind of paste. So the crispy one tastes good. So let's have, it has been 7 minutes. Let's have the pitas. So they are done. Kind of like for storage, we need no brown, because I'm going to store them for the weekly consumption. So I won't do them, I will not finish them to the final. So, and then we store them and we cover them for some time, like let the steam be out, and then you can put it in a parchment paper and you can store it for a week in fridge. You can serve it with za'atar, you can serve it with hummus, you can serve it with the balsamic vinaigrette. It's really healthy and it's really amazing, and with me the fragrance of the bread is very important. So, and I believe that should be perfect. That decides the quality of your final product.